What's up, everybody?
Hey, hey. See, I'm way more excited than Bob already.
I'm so tired. There's never been a time in the history of Bob and Weave, which we're almost a year in now, aren't we?
We are closing in on it.
Closing in on a year.
Actually, are we at a year? We might be at a year. It's close.
Yeah, I think we might be over a year.
Whoa, we made it a year, guys.
1 year of Bob and Weave.
Unless it's not been a year, then we're coming up on it.
In the long history of Bob and Weave, there's never been a time where I was more bothered by the fact that our production schedule dictates that our episodes are recorded a week before they're published.
Yeah, that's a tough one this week.
This is going to be a tough one. I can tell you it's going to be a short one. Dude, my brain's not working. I'm so tired. So we are recording this the morning after. That'll be the title of this podcast.
The morning after.
The morning after.
So November 4th.
Mm-hmm. Wednesday the 4th. So when you're watching this or listening to this, you probably know who the president is.
I am going to make the prediction right now that we still don't know.
I think that the only reason we won't know is because of court battles. Like, I think it'll be called.
Okay, they'll call somebody.
And then there's going to be, well, just before we sat down. So where we're sitting at right now, when we sat down to record this, the battleground states left that have not declared, that are waiting on lots, they're still counting absentee ballots and some mail-in ballots, are Georgia and North Carolina. Haven't been called. It appears, based on scanning through all the news outlets and analysts, it appears those most likely will go to Donald Trump. We know that he won Florida already, which was a big one. Pennsylvania's still out. That one's more of a toss-up, but it still looks like they're saying it's likely going to go to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But none of the news agencies are wanting to make calls. Nevada is still out, but they're almost certain that's going to go to Biden. They just call, so that leaves Michigan and Wisconsin, which are what's going to decide the election at this point. Much closer than anybody thought. And they just called it for Biden. There's for Wisconsin. So again, this will be old news for you guys. This will be straightened out, or in the process of being straightened out. But they just called it for Biden with 99% of the votes in. He is winning by 21,000 votes. And the Trump campaign has already said they want to recount, which is not surprising. Some states actually have rules that if it's within 1%, there's an automatic recount. But so it's already starting. That there's going to be a recount, or at least they're trying to get a recount in Wisconsin. If things play out, and again, this sucks that I'd rather this be live.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's all right.
But as of right now, we're in our frame of mind where we're watching it, at least mine, the way it seems to be playing out right now is Trump is probably going to win Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Biden's probably going to win Nevada and Wisconsin, which leaves only Michigan to be decided, which as of this moment is a dead heat, but is looking like it's probably going to go to Biden because the votes that haven't been counted yet are absentee ballots in historically Democrat areas.
So we obviously can't talk much about the election because we don't know what the hell's going on. But
Right.
we knew that going into this. But I'll tell you something that really surprised me, which I am super, super happy with. And anybody that's on the fan page will know that I mentioned this. I asked for opinions on an unbiased news source to pay attention to last night.
Right.
And our listeners came through big. They gave me a bunch of unbiased news sources, which I checked out. But I also checked out all the mainstream media, even though I
Right.
didn't want to. And I was really surprised at how well I thought they went about it.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Like each side was very composed, held back. You know what I mean? It didn't seem as biased last night as I expected it to be.
I thought they did really well. I was bouncing between MSNBC, Fox, and CNN, and the only one that I saw that I seemed a little more biased, and not so much like they weren't giving you false information, but their bias for what they wanted was coming through more clearly, was MSNBC. CNN was very neutral, and Fox News was very neutral. I ended up on Fox a lot of the time after about 11 p.m.
Mm.
And it was because they brought in a statistician that's part of their decision team. You know, the guys on the computers counting beans.
Yeah, they're just making shit up back there.
Yeah. They brought him on to start breaking things down. And at that time, they had declared Arizona for Biden when there was still a shitload, like it was like half the state was counted. And that would be a flip for, that went for Trump last time. And the Trump campaign was coming out and saying that this was irresponsible. The votes haven't been counted yet. They shouldn't be calling it. And so they brought him on, and that was the moment I realized, like, this guy is worth listening to, because he was not, he straight up, I mean, he was I liked his style, but he came on and he's like, no, we are 100% certain. I'm sorry to the Trump campaign that they think that they're going to win this state, but they are not. We have run the numbers and this, and with 4 standard deviations of blah, 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 words I don't understand. He's like, 100% that is going to Joe Biden. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, cool. Number one, this guy is breaking things down in a way that I can understand. And number two, he's clearly not pulling for one side or the other one.
Was that Arizona? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's even to this point that we stepped in here. Fox News has called Arizona for Biden, and CNN has not called it at all.
Right. CNN still has it. It still had it up as undecided.
Which surprises me.
Yeah. But I think that's just who's running their numbers. And I think that all the networks have been very, very gun shy about projections. Like states that I think, based on like previous standards, I think at this point, Georgia and North Carolina would have already been called. And honestly, I think that probably Michigan would have already been called for Biden.
Yeah.
Because because that's how they would always do it, right? They'd look at, like, hey, what's left, who's got to vote, which way do they usually vote? We can predict that that's going to go to Biden, and Biden wins. But everybody is because everybody got it so, and that's the big story here is how wrong the pollsters were again. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bad. And you had the prediction last week that you thought it was going to be a landslide.
Yeah, I was wrong.
And, well, that's fine. I listened to, well, I shouldn't say who I listened to because he's not liked by a lot of people. But Alex Jones last week said the same thing.
Yeah.
That he thought it was going to be a landslide.
Yeah.
And it's not even, I mean, it's close.
Yeah. It's super tight. And I just, the reason I said that last week, and you nailed it. You said we wouldn't know. And you're right. Was just because of, and to an extent, I still stand by what I thought was going to happen. My thoughts were the polls are completely wrong.
Which they
that there is
were.
that there is a giant wave of people that are going to vote for Trump. The silent majority. The what are they calling them? The secret, or the there's a term they're using right now, but the hidden Trump voters. That are out there because they're afraid. People are afraid to lose their businesses if they say they're voting for Trump. I had, and this is a true story. It's something very upsetting to me, and I hope it gets reconciled. But I had a very good friend of mine, very good friend, someone I love this person, sent me a text out of the blue last night and was like, "Hey Bob, how's it going? Hey, who'd you vote for?" And I just said, I don't share that. I can tell you, it was nobody I was happy voting for.
Which realistically is either of them.
Or there's more than two.
Well, I know, but
so you're
see, hold on, I'll stop you. I was happy for who I voted for.
Right. Well, so this is my issue.
I didn't vote for either of those assholes, and I'm happy who I voted for.
You would, if you're comfortable sharing.
I voted for Joe Jorgensen.
Right.
Jorgensen.
So when I went into the polls, I had these 3 options. I've got Trump, who I can't stand. I've got Biden, and that's not even necessarily Biden, but it's what. For me, what the Democrat Party has in the last few weeks have said they want to do if they get power. And then you've got the squad and everybody talking about how they're going to push and influence Biden to go more their way with the packing the courts and all that. So it's like I've got Trump, who I can't stand and wants to do shit that I don't like. I got Biden, who I don't particularly care for, and I definitely don't like the things that they want to do. And I got Jorgensen, who I really like, but I know when I vote for her, she's not going to win. So it was like, and that's what I had responded to my friend. I was just like, man, I said I was lumped with 3 choices, 2 people I don't like and one that I do like that can't win. So I didn't vote for anybody. And that person responded back to me that you voted for Republican, didn't you? Take care. I was like, what? And they're like, I don't have any room in my life for anybody that would vote for this, for racist, misogynist, and that would support this, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
It like ended unsolicited from me, made an assumption about who I voted for, and ended a friendship, which I hope once emotions come down, that'll get reconciled.
Yeah.
But I was just sitting there like, is this like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And they were mad that I wouldn't share who I voted for. But I told them, I don't do that. I will never ask anyone who they voted for, and I will not share who I voted for.
You literally just asked me who I voted for.
I said, are you comfortable sharing? Because you told me you were going to share.
I've been real feisty today.
Yeah.
So I've watched too much Alex Jones this last week. So I'm sorry about that. I just really want to interrupt you a bunch, just like Alex Jones.
Just like he did with Rogan.
So you can tell me to stop. Like, whoa, hold on, stop.
Fact check.
I'm just gonna start saying crazy stuff.
But yeah, but so it's stuff like that, you know. And when I'm looking through social media, there was a time last night. And by the way, when I say I'm tired, I mean I stayed up till about 2:30 in the morning.
That was too late. You know what time I went to bed?
What time?
About 9:15.
I should have, because from 10 o'clock till 2:30 in the morning, nothing changed.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept thinking, like, any minute now, they're going to call one of these states, and we'll have an idea at least what's going on. And I finally just couldn't do it anymore and went to sleep.
I don't know if that makes me an old man or if not, but I go to bed like 9 o'clock.
I know you do.
Is that
in the
good
summertime, you go to bed when the sun's still out.
That's hard because I have that big window in my room
Right.
that doesn't have a shade, and that's tough. But it is what it is.
But yeah, there was a time last night where, when Trump won Florida and Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
which were, I don't know where, but like the pollsters, as far as getting it wrong. I mean, on the day of the election, the poll said that Biden was gonna take Florida, and Trump won by a lot, like 6 points, and by a lot.
Yeah.
And
Well, he took a bunch of the Hispanic votes in Miami, which is that they were just absolutely
can't believe
shocked by.
yeah, and that's again that's this friend of mine was like, what they're doing to the Hispanic people and this and that, and it's racist. And like I said, I didn't argue. I just let it set and hoping that things calm down and we can talk it out later.
Mm-hmm.
But again, all based on who this person thinks I voted for. I was thinking, it's like, you think that I voted for Trump because I won't tell you who I voted for.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're assuming I'm racist against Hispanics. But what about the Hispanic voters that voted for Trump? Are they racist? And that's the thing that is...
We have a lot of people that look out for, I'm going to say this, and people look out for their best interests sometimes.
Right.
I had the discussion with you earlier, and maybe some of our listeners have heard this story or not, but 50 Cent came out last week and said he was voting for Trump.
Right.
He's like, I don't care if he doesn't like black people. He's like, I see what Biden's going to do with taxes. I don't want to pay that.
Right. Yeah, and somehow that's got like people voting their and that's we're trying to put a positive. So my predictions, you said you don't think we'll still know. I think Biden's going to win.
Mm.
I think it's looking right now in these Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Wisconsin and Michigan are going to go to Biden, and that'll be enough to seal the deal for him.
I think magically Joe Jorgensen's going to come in,
Right?
sweep all these states
prediction.
out of nowhere.
Well, Jorgensen, the votes for Jorgensen definitely played a part in Trump losing if he loses, because as of right now, Jorgensen has.
But see, I'll stop you right there because you said that.
Uh-huh.
I think it plays a part either. I think either side is going to make that argument. If Trump, if Trump loses the candidacy, I think people are going to say it's the Jorgensen votes that cost Trump the presidency.
Well, I wouldn't put it like that, like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, but I think if Biden loses, the Biden supporters are going to say that too. Well, if those people would have came out and voted for Biden, we would have won.
That'd be a hard argument to make. I don't think a lot of Democrats crossed over and voted for her, because the libertarian is not even close to what a Democrat is.
You're right.
But I think that there are a lot of Republican voters that are typically people that would probably have gone and voted for the Republican ticket that saw her as a better option. And in my opinion, she clearly was the better option.
I know for a fact that I have several of my shooting friends that are very Republican, very right-leaning.
Yeah.
That all moved and voted for Jorgensen.
Right. A lot of people, well, is it in Michigan, the last I saw, there was a 10,000 vote margin between Trump and Biden, and Jorgensen had got just shy of 50,000 votes. So but it's the same thing in 2016. It was Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton lost Michigan by 9,000 votes, and Jill Stein had 12,000 or something like that, or
What
whatever.
party was she for? She was for like the Green Party or something, right?
I think
Because Gary Johnson was the Libertarian candidate.
yeah, she was. It was one of the more left leaning. I think it was the Green Party. I don't remember, but I remember it was very clearly a leftist liberal type party that she was running for. But it drew those out, so it happens. It's not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or like it's, excuse isn't the right word because I don't give a shit if he won or not. But definitely the part of that, so to the Jurgensen vote was I think a good vote for if you like I don't like either candidate and I'm not going to throw the support and I'm going to but so you made a vote where if you voted for Jurgensen, you made a vote for a candidate that you knew wouldn't win, but it did affect the outcome of the election with you still being able to maintain your own integrity.
Yeah,
and not voting for
I think that was a huge thing for me is being able to maintain that.
Right.
And there was more. I don't want to say there's more important things, but there was other things that I needed to vote for that was on that ballot besides the president.
Right.
Which is a huge thing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm one of those people like I vote every chance there's any time to vote. Like I'm there. I'm the guy that when there's like 12 people that show up to vote, I'm one of those 12 people.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm always there
in the local primary election in August.
Yeah.
You're there.
I'm voting for the school board. I'm that guy.
Yep.
We
had a big school board vote here. It was kind of a big deal. But what's bothering me? So what I was getting at is, I think Biden wins. Now the Democrats have held the House. The Republicans, they have not declared this officially, but the Republicans are holding the Senate. The Democrats needed to flip 4 seats. As of now, they flipped 2, but the Republicans also flipped 1, so that only gives them a net gain of 1. There's only like 6 races left. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham both held their seats. So it looks like Congress is going to look pretty much the same as it did. We have Democrat House, Republican Senate, I think very likely a Democrat president. And to be honest with you, with as big of a mess as everything has become, I think this is the best possible outcome.
I agree with you.
We were talking, and there's a lot of people who are upset about that, and just hear me out. You can still disagree with me. It's okay. I'm just a tired, privileged.
You are tired. You're down today, buddy.
Tired.
Well, maybe not down, but you're
privileged
tired.
white man in the Midwest sitting here.
Oh, yes. Here goes the privileged white man thing.
But both parties have lost their goddamn minds, in my opinion. And if either one of them, and I said this I was with Mike and I had to run up to the cabin on Monday to do some work, as we spent some time in the car together. I was like, the more I think this through, if the Republicans win the Senate and the presidency, and if somehow flip the House, which wasn't really an option, like they're going to have a blank check to do whatever they want, and they're out of control. And the same's true of the Democrats. If they hold the House, flip the Senate, and take the presidency, they've been clear about some of the stuff they're going to do with the PAC in the court and all that stuff that we've talked about. And,
well, that's a huge. I mean, I'm jumping ahead of you and I'm overcutting you, but that's the whole point of the way that our government is set up, is having the checks and balances.
Right.
That's the whole point of the way our government is supposed to run.
Right.
So that's huge that it seems that it's going to stay that way.
Right. The bad side of that is gridlock. But I just what I told Mike is I said honestly I don't think that I've been very clear I don't like either of these candidates of the main candidates. I don't really care which one of them gets in as long as the Senate is held by the opposite party. So for me, a perfect scenario was Biden in the White House, Republican Senate, or Trump in the White House and a Democrat Senate.
And you've honestly, I know it's been off the record, but you've told me that for weeks now.
Yeah, because I'm genuinely, and again, this is just me in my opinion, I am genuinely afraid of what either party will do with total control. Genuinely afraid of it. So if the results are as I see them happening, where we end up with a Democrat president, a Republican Senate, and a Democrat House, there's going to be some gridlock. I think as far as the civil unrest in our country, Biden winning was definitely the best for that. As far as the economy, at least in the short term, I think Trump would have been better for that. I think we can all expect a little hit in our retirement accounts, coming in the coming months if Biden wins. Maybe not. Again, I'm not, just my opinion. But and there's going to be some the gridlock. But I think if Biden wins, there's going to be a lot of the. If Trump won, there'd be rioting in the streets for sure, for sure. With Biden winning, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. And my hope is a couple things. One, I hope the Democrats learn their lesson. I want a better choice in 2024. You know, they've tried this 2 elections in a row, and it looks like they maybe squeaked it out this time. But their plan of running on demonizing the Republican candidate and demonizing that's the reason the polls won't work. They demonize the people that support the president, and it's created this giant, like, what seems unfathomable mistakes in the polls because people are afraid to voice their concerns or to voice their opinions.
So Biden wins. Say Biden wins, and you just said they have to do better in 2024.
Right.
Wouldn't he be? I mean,
not automatically.
Not automatically. So even though he's an incumbent, he wouldn't be.
Right. He could choose not to run. I mean, let's face it, whether him or Trump are in,
they're old.
Yeah, there's a chance that they may not be alive by then. So it could be Biden running again for re-election. He could step aside and let Kamala Harris run for re-election.
I see what you're saying.
They could bring in somebody new, but it's more the tone than the person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You remember as we were going through the primaries, and I'm looking at guys like Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. We talked about Cory Booker and some of these other candidates, and it was like, these are people that are just Buttigieg. Like Buttigieg was, the more and more I look at it, I don't agree with all of his policies, but I would 100% vote for him because I think that he's intelligent, I think he's articulate, and I think that he genuinely has the country's best interest at heart. So just because he thinks that we should do this and I think we should do something differently, I know that his motivations are he's doing that because he believes that's the right thing to do. I don't think that's necessarily the case with either of the candidates we have now. They have too many strings being pulled all over the place. But the point I'm getting at clumsily is that I hope that instead of gridlock, at some point both parties start seeing America is sick of your bullshit. Let's start working together. That would be if Biden ends up being president, the most amazing Biden legacy ever would be if he is able to go in there and do what he did campaign on. Biden was a very moderate Democrat. He's gotten sucked into in these last weeks all of the more extreme wing of his party. But that's never been him. He's always been the moderate, willing to cross the aisle. But if he can work it so that the two sides finally say, all right, let's quit fucking fighting and try to work together, and we get some great things accomplished. Get this healthcare system fixed and things like that. Get this immigration system fixed in a bipartisan way over the next 4 years. That's the thing is, we're either going to be gridlocked or that's what's going to happen. There's no in between. Either you're going to have to learn to get along or nothing is going to get done.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's a big thing that I posted on Facebook, and I've been trying to get it across to people that I talk to is we really have to stop promoting hate towards each other. I get it. If you don't like a candidate or you really feel like a candidate is going to take something away from you, I understand your frustration. I understand I understand that. We've got to stop promoting hate towards each other and violence towards each other. And we need to figure out how to come together to move forward. Because if we don't come together, we're not going to move forward.
Well, and that's the biggest sentiment I see, especially like one place you don't want to be right now is Twitter.
Fuck Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll say it right now. If you're listening and you like Twitter, fuck Twitter.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Twitter.
Fuck Twitter.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Twitter.
Yeah.
I hate Twitter.
Dude.
I don't have Twitter on my phone. I have a Twitter account. I think it's at Z to the Q. You can leave me all sorts of nasty messages. I don't have Twitter on my phone. I haven't logged into Twitter in probably a year.
Dude, it's always pretty nasty, but it's been so. What's so upsetting is as the results started coming in, and like I said, as soon as Trump hit Florida and Ohio, and they were like, "Holy shit, he might win." But even if he doesn't win, it's close. There's huge voter turnout. There's something close to 140 million 150 million Americans have voted, I think.
So at the point we're in here, they've already said that Biden has got the most votes out of any president in history.
Right.
it's not even over,
Right.
and we're not even sure he's going to
Because
win
the voter turnout is massive.
because it's that massive.
He's at like 69 million votes or
Yeah,
something
at
like
the
that.
point that we're in here is at 69 million.
But people were commenting on the fact that they were so, making all these posts about how they're so upset that it's so close. And then it keeps coming back to, I can't believe that there are 67 million racists in our country. And why, and how is it possible that racism is so alive and well? It's like, you got to stop that shit. He's not my candidate. So you're not talking to me, but like, that's bullshit. There are reasons, we've talked about it before. There are reasons people vote for candidates. And for starters, I'll just say it. I think Donald Trump is a lot of things. I think he's a sexist. He's a misogynist. He's a genuine asshole. There's a million things that he is. I don't think that he's racist. I think, and there's things that he has done that people construe as him being racist. But that's just one of the things that, and even, like Jordan from BLM that we had in here, we talked about it. I don't remember if it was on the record or off the record, but he said the same thing. It's like, I don't think he's racist. Like, he's not like, so I mean, yeah, I'm white privileged, but he's not. And there's a lot of African American people. There's a lot of Hispanic people. There's a lot of those people that did vote for him. So clearly, because you think he's racist doesn't mean everyone who voted for him is racist. And it's that odd ad hominem attacks that are happening. It's like, we're never going to get anywhere. And it doesn't work. All it does is just push people away. Like, it looks like Biden's going to win, but I was thinking this morning, because still this morning, it's 6:30 this morning, it still looked like it was going to go Trump's way. And all I kept thinking was, if he wins this election, you know whose fault it is? The Democrats. It's not because he ran a great campaign. It's not because he's a good, like, Trump is a guy that should be easily beaten.
Yeah, easily beat.
He's an asshole. He should be easily beaten. But the reason it's so close is because the Democratic Party, not everyone, I'm not generalizing, but a large majority have drawn this line where it says either you're with us or you're a piece of shit and you're a racist and you don't deserve to be in the, I mean, just horrible stuff. Thinking that that's going to get the people to be like, okay, well, I'll come with you. It doesn't. It doesn't work. What it does is say, I don't want anything to do with you. And then, kind of the extremisms with some of the stuff that was talked about with the eliminating the Electoral College, impeaching sitting justices, adding states and packing the court and all, like, they got so extreme. I think that extremist agenda that was pushed not by Biden, but by a lot in the Democratic Party is also what tightened this race up. There were a lot of people that were like, I'm sure they were like, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not going to do it. Fuck him. That were like, that don't have that party attachment, that were looking at that like, ugh. As I said, the best litmus test for anyone, for any issue, to me, is flip the party and see if you still agree with it. That's when you can figure out your bias. So the Democrats are packing the courts, and you're like, yeah, we need to pack the courts. If it was the Republicans, would you still say we need to pack the courts? The answer is obviously no. So you're not really for packing the courts. You're just for your party, which is not a way to get anywhere. Whereas you might take something like, say, whatever, something that's already done, so I don't piss anybody off. Legalizing abortion. So let's say, Roe versus Wade. It was done a long time ago. If you're like, if your party, if the Democrats were like, we're legalizing abortion, and you're like, hell yes, that's what we need to do. And then you can look at that and say, but what if the Republicans were legalizing abortion? Like, well, fuck yeah, I'd still be in favor of it. Okay, that's an issue that you actually believe in. It's not, it was a way for me a while back to be able to separate how I really feel about issues and where is my blind party loyalty. Back when I was, like I said, I've never made it a secret. I used to be just a straight ticket Republican guy. It's just the way I grew up until I got a little older and more enlightened. But that's the thing. So anyway, I think between the ad hominem attacks, the drawing the lines, and you're either with us or you're something horrible, and then the extreme agenda is the reason, in my dummy opinion, is why this race got close. And when I say that I hope the Democrats learned their lesson, that's what I mean.
Here's some nonsense for you, because I like nonsense. What's the first president you remember, like in your lifetime?
Reagan.
Okay, you remember him? Yeah. So I vaguely remember Bush Senior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was alive during Reagan.
Right.
I vaguely remember Bush Senior, but the first president that ever comes to my head is Clinton, because I was
You're old enough to.
I was old enough to kind of pay attention,
Mhm.
and he was the cool guy at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the first candidate that like went on Nickelodeon and did things, and you know what I mean,
Right.
played the saxophone. I don't know why that always sticks out to me, but he's like
It wasn't just a suit.
yeah, he wasn't just a suit, like he was a cool guy. I know that's way off topic.
There's a lot of previous presidents that I didn't like at the time that I would love to have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I hope. And then the candidates. Now, when I said also learning their lesson, that was also based on the fact that it looked this morning like Trump was going to win. And I was like, okay, go back to rewind to the primaries, rewind to the day before Super Tuesday, when Pete Buttigieg and Klobuchar dropped out of the race and Elizabeth Warren stayed in. And you can argue this is not true, but in my opinion, that was 100% intentional strategy by the DNC to push Biden in front of Sanders because they thought that Sanders couldn't beat Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, not sure that's true.
I honestly I agree. I think that if Bernie was in, he destroyed Trump.
I think he would, and that's the thing. His policies are really extreme,
Mm-hmm.
really, really extreme socialist views. But he's not a bad guy. There's not, I'm not saying Biden's a bad guy, but if you don't want to admit it, you don't have to. But there's a lot of shady shit with Joe Biden. There's a lot of lies that have come out of Joe Biden. Not to the level of Trump, but there's a lot of shit that's coming out of him. Like he's not, I don't think he's a good, honest person. I don't think he's a good, honest politician at all. But I think that Sanders is, even though I disagree with 90% of what he says, I think people can see him and say that's a
genuine person
with integrity,
mm-hmm.
and I'd vote for him. But it's like the DNC like panicked and pushed this candidate that was just a bad candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like this is the second. They did the same thing with Clinton 4 years ago, and that's what I mean. Like the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot, and it looks like it's probably going to work out for him.
Well,
this
Clinton's
time.
got that murder squad, so I mean, you got to watch out.
Oh,
for that.
Right.
I'm a conspiracy guy, so I can say that.
But man, can you imagine if they did the same thing? What if right before Super Tuesday, they said they convinced Biden and Klobuchar to drop out?
Okay.
Buttigieg would have
Mm-hmm.
soared to the top.
Yeah.
Or Biden and Buttigieg. But I keep saying Buttigieg. I think he was the best. The more and more I look at it, I liked a lot of them, but he was the best one.
But see, I don't know how much he's going to have the black vote, as Jordan said. And I say the black
Right.
vote. I know that sounds really horrible to say it that way.
But Jordan, you got to remember.
Jordan said it that way. Jordan does not like him. Jordan,
Right.
he was very against him. And they campaigned against him when he would go places.
Right. But Jordan was from South Bend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like that was pretty localized.
Okay.
I think if it went on a national scale, he would have done better. But it's very localized. There were issues that people of South Bend had with Pete specifically, who was the mayor of South Bend.
But they had BLM supporting them,
Right.
and going to these Buttigieg rallies
Mm-hmm.
to basically protest. So I don't know. That'd been a tough one.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I mean, what do I know? I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked it, and again, I think that it wouldn't take much of a candidate to beat the hell out of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they had just let the primaries play out, I said, Bernie would have been maybe tough, but I think he could have won. But there's a lot of candidates that could have been even when Biden was up there. If they just campaigned on the issues, that second debate, at least what I got out of that was, if you take all the personalities and character flaws aside and just look at, okay, what does this guy want the country to look like if he wins, and what does this guy want it to look like? That's all I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get past the personalities, really, in that. But it's like, just give the issues, campaign on what you're doing. This attack Trump. The result was, yes, Biden at this point has more votes than any other sitting president, but second place is Donald Trump, who has more.
Yeah, he probably has more votes than any other president.
He
too.
had 67 million
Mm-hmm.
at this point. There was I think a 2 million span or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody's ever won with more than like 61 or 62 million, and he's got 67 million. I'm probably going to lose with that many.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people came out in droves for this election, but I don't know. We'll see what it is. I don't think the DNC is going to be knocking on my door asking my advice for the next.
I don't know if they'd ever come ask you for advice.
Yeah, I don't think
just
I don't
saying.
honestly. I don't think anybody, any like person, would come ask me for advice really on anything.
Yeah, it's not the best.
I have to make a podcast so I can just talk.
I ask you a lot of advice, and it never turns out well.
Yeah, I will say this: there's a few of you I can think of you off the top of my head that are already right now crafting your Facebook post about how I'm wrong. And I just want you to know I don't care. I don't have the energy to argue it. There's no right or wrong. I'm just telling you this is my opinion of what I'm seeing. And then people will say, well, the right's just as bad and this and that. Maybe. I don't know. I come from an area where 90% of my friends are conservative
Mm-hmm.
and 10% are liberal. And those 10% are uglier on social media than the other 90 altogether. From what I've seen in my little bubble, my little bubble.
But, we say that, and I'm not going to drag that on too long. We say that, but it could be an echo chamber too. We don't know what's out there.
But that's what people always say that. But I'm like, but my echo chamber really is the other way. Like I have way more conservatives on my friend list.
That's what I'm saying.
So
that's
I
why
would
you don't
so
see
I would
it.
expect to be seeing them making these posts.
Okay.
Maybe I just don't understand it.
No, I guess I get what
But
you're
instead,
saying.
when I go through my news feed,
Mm-hmm.
it's just these are my kids at school. This is what's going on here. Look at we carved pumpkins. Fuck everyone that's voting for Trump. You're a piece of shit if you vote for Trump. You're a racist if you vote for Trump. And that's what my news feed looks like.
It's a sad news feed. It's pretty miserable.
It is. I just haven't been on it. But really, that's one thing that I was kind of hoping we could touch on today. Maybe we'll come back to it because I could be in my bubble because the show, the Social Dilemma. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Zach has not.
I haven't seen it.
I think you should watch it so we can talk about it.
I can do that.
Super interesting. It really gets into the algorithms created on social media and what seems to be kind of the unintended consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get into some statistics that are pretty frightening. Like,
Oh, good. That's what I need to know.
right. Well, I thought it was all about like they're spying on us. Like, yeah, no shit.
Mm-hmm.
I can say a word right now and that will show up as an ad on my
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook just from me speaking it. But what it is like the algorithm's designed to change your engagement and behavior for the sole intent and purpose of selling more ads, having more effective advertising. But then the unintended consequences of that are like the Flat Earth Society, like conspiracy theories and things like that. And then like some of these statistics that are in there are since like 2012, 2013, since the age of social media, preteen and teen attempted and completed suicides. The statistics from prior to that until social media and filters on pictures on like Instagram and things like that have come out, like at an alarming rate. Suicides and suicide attempts for teenagers and pre-teenagers are through the roof. And they break down. I don't want to give it all away because I need to watch it again to really.
Well, it sounds like I
all.
need to watch this.
Yeah.
So we can discuss it.
Yeah, it's all like there's literally. Here's a little fun little tidbit before we move off of there for now. So their whole principle is first engagement, which means keep you on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have the phone in your hand and you're looking at your screen, you're more likely to look at another video, to watch another TikTok, to scan through another Facebook post. So they want you on the screen all the time. And one of the first things they did to do that, which was one of the most brilliant things ever, it was so simple, I never thought of it until they explained it, was so-and-so is typing. They said Facebook it started with Facebook Messenger. Now your iPhone does it when you're texting.
Mm-hmm.
But Facebook Messenger, you send a message and be like, blah, 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 and then nothing, and you shut your phone off and go about your business. And so they realized if when the other person looks at it, they pop up a little thing that says, Zach is typing, then you stay on your screen.
Yeah, waiting.
You're waiting for it and waiting for it. And it's taking too long. And then you end up, well, what's going on Facebook right now? Until ding, it comes back. And then you flip back over and you send that and it says they're typing again. And then you go back and you start scrolling through stuff. Like the little dots on your phone and the so-and-so is typing is done intentionally to manipulate you to keep you looking at your screen.
Sounds conspiracy-ish. I like it.
Scary. And they've got a bunch of guys that worked for all these companies on there, like as like an expose. It's I thought it was really, really good and scary.
Good. Oh, I'm excited to check it out. I mean, I don't know if I'm excited to check it out, but I'm gonna check it out.
Cool. And it can't, and because the tie-in with all this is a lot of like when I go to the echo chamber, the bubble, right, and you go through like Twitter, and I see all these people, like all of them straight up saying half the country is racist. I can't believe you're also racist. And I look at it as like what an arrogant way to think.
Mm-hmm.
What an arrogant way to think that if someone doesn't vote for the person you think they should vote for, that they are racist. Like, but part of that social dilemma thing that documentary where they get into is like social media is creating those monsters on purpose from what they're showing you and what the feedback you're getting, and they legitimately assume that's not they're not trying to just do this ad hominem attack and just throw jab. Like they believe it. They 100% believe anyone who votes for Trump is a racist.
You know, I saw a woman comment about this yesterday. Well, 2 days ago, pre-election. Obviously, this is a week late now, but pre-election, and somebody had mentioned about having to vote, and she's a farmer, and she just said, hey, you know, when the stock market is good, farmers are getting paid. She's like, so I don't want to have to do this, but you can guess who I have to vote for.
Right.
You know, and that's
and to call that person a racist. Like I said, I don't want to vote for who she voted for. But to say that she's a racist for doing it, like, no, she's not. And then be like, well, yeah, but and there's certainly an argument to say like, well, yeah, but it's not just about you. There's about these millions of other people. You got to. It's like, yeah, you do, but at some point you also have to look out for yourself. You can't be like, you know, I don't like what they're doing. I mean, you can be, but there's a lot of people that just aren't. They're not bad people if they're like, yeah, I don't like what's happening down at the border, and that needs to change.
But I need to feed my kids.
But I can't go bankrupt and not be able to feed my children. So this is the route for me. And I'm sorry about that, and I'll do what I can about that, but I got to make sure my kids have food on the table. Like, to take that person and say, well, then you're racist. It's wrong. It's just it's saddening. It's sickening. And I hope positive ending, because are my eyes like red? I feel like my eyes are on
you're pretty
fire.
rough.
I'm so tired. I didn't sleep much the night before either. So the positive ending is it looks like for sure we have a divided Congress, and it looks like we're going to have, you know, which is a big thing, different party in the Senate and the White House, and hopefully that is going to teach these politicians everything you learned in kindergarten, to play nice, to share, and try to do something good for those of us who are just sitting here watching you bicker like 2-year-olds. Yep. And I shot a deer in self-defense last night. Well, that's a story for another day.
That's another story, but that's a good one.
Meat in the freezer.
Listeners, I love you guys. If I've argued with you guys recently, I still love you. It's okay.
I'm not going to. I've decided when the 5 people I'm thinking of make posts about everything that I said wrong today, I want you to know that I love you. I'm not going to engage because I can't be wrong about my opinion, and that's all it is.
But I still love you, and he still loves you.
I love you very much. Let's all get along. We will love you long time. Zach, thanks for being my friend.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.